Greetings and salutations, moppers, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. Last time, we finally finished Case 1 of the next game, which I guess is Case 6 in the grand total of things. We revealed that Miss Giselle Brett, the killer from the first case, was murdered in a crime of passion. And due to that, the truth is forever lost as to why she killed Dr. Wilson in the first place. Moving right along, let's continue on to the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Well, looks like it's onion soup today. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Shom's suite. Why? My phone's not even near my mic! And say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Thursday, August, 7:28 a.m. Shom's suite. Ah, Luno! Good! I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise. Shush! Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just a abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Good morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes. I see. So that's it. The truth is as clear as to me as day. my faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button on your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course. Though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looked like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Really pulled your button off. Ah, yes. I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then, that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is whether or not my deduction is unerring. But Hurley, Bruno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Ah ha 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 ha! Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl, who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Rance magazine. So, Miss Naruhodo, why don't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right. And she had some rather sterling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! Miss Usato's letter. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning, by international post. Oh, how lovely! Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as well, as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice. You know, in those two cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. Ah, the mustache Pucci man, with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have two mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those two cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you. Clearly. Startling news. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes. It's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago? For what purpose? Because something that Mr. Natsumi said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, and Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsumi said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes? It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that? Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Miss Susato's repatriation. Patricia? It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? How why she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No. It just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever is just a ruse. A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Sending her back to Japan so suddenly like that. I wonder what Mrs. Susato's father is hiding. Harry, do you know what it's all about? Oh, you changed fast. Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please! I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel. Even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, artist? I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later. He sailed off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Apparently when my cheek twitches, my eye closes. Huh, didn't know that. So Saki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. Aha! I found them at last. Iris, are they?
The notes about the case. That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Bruno?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit.
And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. What the hell happened? So there's a mysterious case between the last case and Mr. Natsumi's case. And we somehow lost our license? Afterwards? I'm chewing on crumbly now. Why? Why didn't I buy more snacks before I started? It was 6 months ago. A mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick, and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time, and was duly arrested. That man was Tosaki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Usawa-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. I should probably sit up straight. After a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! That was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning.
The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart at once.
So Susawa-san and I summoned a hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. February, 5:30 a.m. St. Bartholomew's Hospital. Recovery ward. Oh god, there's a rat.
There you are, at last.
Good morning, Mr. Sholmes.
I think not. Oh! You're late. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes. And it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
That's right. And it's 5:30 now. I think we made good time. Very good time.
The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. The point of the fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been aroused at such an hour, I sent one to you.
Well, thanks for that.
Anyway, you're here now, so the victim's over there. She only just regained consciousness. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here.
So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back.
Her name was... yes, here we are. Miss Green.
This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it?
I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
Really? It's not exactly what you call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it?
No, I suppose not. I confess, I have never seen one quite so full-figured before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. Good morning there. Hello, I'm, Rinosuke Naruhodo, from the Empire of Japan.
Oh no! What was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No, I'm a lawyer.
And I'm Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? The one? Are you the one? No. I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you regained consciousness and wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? I mean, what I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back.
I don't think that's related, actually.
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. About the incident. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madame. Spectacularly by none other than I, Murdoch Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case.
Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frankly busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. Oh no. We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. We really are.
With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Oh man, all this talking when I don't have a snack really builds me up with gas, apparently. Yeah, I'm good. About yourself. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't serve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away from the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center.
Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes?
Perhaps not. But Briar Road is far less salubrious. The far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache.
Inferior means? I suppose the second sound does fit the bill.
It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all.
What's this? She suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young man's private affairs.
Ah ha 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 ha!
Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things.
Oh, yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green.
Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo. An enormous mouse.
Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best.
But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you're thinking. Now what? Oh, actually, you have to look at something? Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What? What is this place? A zoo?
You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign at our local park.
For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Poor woman. I hope she hasn't read this. Very rude. Ah, this looks like the treatment notes for who's ever occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital.
The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so...
He or she is probably running around the hospital then.
Oh dear, how worrying.
What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. There. I probably start sleeping at 9 again. But then I don't know what time I was streaming. Probably should have to quit streaming. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look, I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this.
Yes, you're right. I can imagine that if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two.
Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors.
I don't imagine that would stop you if you're hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock.
Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Miss Susato. What did she take me for?
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
Oh god, my... So gassy. She would have been brought here. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or a family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and...
No, Mrs. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. Okay, maybe I do turn to crime when I'm hungry. There are lots of balls in the cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that?
If you are a patient here, I feel sure you take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep.
That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you are half asleep as well.
There are limits to even what I can do when half asleep, you know, Mrs. Sato. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here.
Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman.
He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think?
My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had sense for matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Either lovers or siblings. Is there a Mr. Narrowfather here? Mr. Narrowfather? Narrowfather? Now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me. But Mr. Narrowfather! Good. This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. I don't know why. I'm not moving my face. I don't know why I'm blinking like crazy. Mr. Natsume. Is that a message? To me?
But why would a policeman be delivering a message for Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on? What's this Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning?
Oh, what are you waiting for? Let me see that.
Oh.
Well,
this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes?
is something wrong, Mrs. Sholmes? He says.
Have you not seen this note? No, you took it from my hand. No, how could I? Could I have?
It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. You must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence.
But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did.
That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings.
Oh no, was it the fancy flamboyant man? Wait, what? God damn it.
I'll hail of Vicare at once.
It was only yesterday that Soteki-san was in court, and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. February, 7:18 a.m. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor.
Oh no, Fancy Pants!
What on earth?
Oh my, the gentleman is deceased, without question. He's dead.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Mr. Natsume!
Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Waffle, worm, without, wiggle.
I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache.
Ah, not the horrible Hurlock Sholmes. Shoo, shove off. Show yourself the door. I never invited you.
Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you?
Here they are, already. The busybodies.
Ah! Inspector Rickson. What a pleasant surprise.
Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes.
Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food.
Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Oi! I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just want to look. That's all. No chance. I know your kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Ugh. Someone's in a bad mood.
There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there?
Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. So, Inspector. Alright. What was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shamesphere. He was a lodger here. What the? As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss, as it happens. Or just dead.
Mr. Shamesphere.
It was the landlord. Mr. Garrodeb and the other lodger, Mr. Asumi, who found him. The fella didn't arrive at his usual hour, so Garrodeb got worried and kicked the door down. But, doesn't Mr. Garrodeb have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're all there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? Sasaki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Ouch. Miserable life, and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsumi still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. Well, I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear. Mr. Natsumi appears to be under suspicion again.
It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man. How unfortunate.
Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner for that long. The bar's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Always getting the A's and B's mixed up. What a terrible thing to have happened.
It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences.
So, the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just 1 story up, is it? Is it?
Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose.
So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it?
Oh, well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never. On my honor, I swear it.
What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? Okay, cool. Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madame, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes.
So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened.
My goodness. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mrs. Sholmes?
As you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw two incontrovertible conclusions. The first, there was a physical struggle here last night, in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? Again? Mr. Natsume?
No, don't mind me. Forget I was here.
Whoops. Oh, my cable got caught. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips.
Nonsense.
Alright, Mr. Natsume. Why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions?
No, please. Pretend I'm not here.
Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Wow, that triggered my star. Impossible to ignore.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail.
But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time. My dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. The word deduction. The game of the foot. Topic 1. Cause of death. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this constantly room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is the soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's Last Supper, in fact. Yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end, he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Now personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Conclusion: poisoning from soap ingestion. Topic 2. Suicide or murder. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was it suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. A careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed, on its way to the hereafter. Conclusion: no possible perpetrator present. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Sholmes' Great Deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You're disposed to identify just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruto? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but who wants so destitute? Soap can appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary! In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilled the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh? Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. Oh! I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye.
Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow.
Nonsense.
Oh, that clenched teeth episode didn't last?
I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do.
Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1.
Course correction! Hold it, Mr. Sholmes! Top 1, cause of death.
Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this consulate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison.
Wait, do I have to go through all this again? I can't remember. Because I want to read it 3 times. Oh. Okay, now he'll stop it.
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer.
Well, I can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something. Or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than attempt it with chopsticks.
And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate.
But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap?
Do you think he was drinking tea with his soap?
The cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing.
Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and he was dissolving soap in it, so he could gulp as much down as possible.
Please remember that he may not actually have been may have not actually have been the soap lover that he's been made out to be.
I can't rotate it. Wait, he's holding another cup. Wait, what the hell is that? I suppose you'd eat soap with a fork, would you?
I don't think it's a question of which implement you'd use. You shouldn't eat soap full stop.
But then why? Why does the man have a fork in his hand?
Oh dear. I understand your frustration, Mr. Nahodo, but please, don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man used the fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Shome's deduction. So we really ought to consider some other clues.
Whoa, how do we rotate here? Look! There's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamesphere must really have loved stuff.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Nahodo. Look closely at the soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table?
What the?
How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart.
Take that!
A piece of soap. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all.
But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Nahodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate.
Mr. Shome is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man lick the soap rather than eat it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all.
Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it?
The contents of the plate is just the soap again, isn't it?
Well, you know there's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it, plate and all.
Well, there's an image. Well, there's an image. All I can picture now is the victim first taking a bite of the soap, and then the plate. The soap like some tofu, and the plate like a giant rice cracker.
Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination.
Hey, you don't know that. If the victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat?
Yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it?
Ah, I've got it. He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all. It was all this fork he wanted. It was all this fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with.
Mr. Nahodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue this line of reasoning, that the gentleman had peculiar tastes.
Susawa-san has such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves.
It's a teacup, Mr. Naruto, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty.
Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence that to suggest he was drinking tea.
My thoughts exactly.
Take that!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup.
Indeed, teacups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners for over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop.
There's no sign of food anywhere in the room.
Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup.
Conclusion. Poison in the tea. Solved.
Step 2. Suicide or murder. The cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer.
Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. Is already featured heavily in our deduction so far.
Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me
is Mr. Natsumi's reaction when he heard Mr. Shom suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems.
We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues.
Come on, come on.
It's another Western vessel for fuse. It's the teacup! It's the teacup! And it too is empty.
Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand,
We can assume that this cup from which Mr. Shakespeare was actually drinking.
but if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it.
Yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Take that!
Did the man die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along.
Oh,
In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's Last Supper, there was a guest present.
at the very least, we can now say with certainty, that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim.
Oh, what are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable.
To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish. However, certainly. In which case,
What more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table?
well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow.
Do you mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death?
Indeed,
What reveals the answer, of course, is this broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now.
I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the Halcyon days of eating too much soap.
But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about.
Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruto.
No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Candle. Even Mr. Shakespeare didn't eat candles, it seems.
We've already established that he didn't eat soap either.
Ah, do you think perhaps the guest brought this candle here last night?
Even if he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity?
Good point. There goes my idea. Ow, what the? Okay, now that my headphone's going crazy. Snuffed out like that candle will be.
If you sigh so deeply, Mr. Naruto, you're in danger of blowing out the flame. Oh dear, the latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The door was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to what Mr. Garrett told the inspector.
Who knew his short, thin legs had so much strength in them?
I'm not sure the length of the legs is in any way significant here.
Perhaps this says more about the poor state of the door than about Mr. Natsume's strength, actually.
Careful. If he overheard that remark, he'd almost certainly have a lively response.
I don't know. Can this broken lock really tell us anything about who was here?
It's empty.
Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it?
It makes me think you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time.
Bother. Tusalison's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. Pile of books. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially.
I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read, A Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gabor.
Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before.
It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mrs. Natsume purchased the other day.
What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Mr. Green was stabbed. So Seki-san had just been at the bookshop and bought them. That's right.
And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim.
Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think?
I really don't know what to make of it.
Pile of familiar books.
Take that!
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books.
Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth.
Ugh. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand shop. That's just a coincidence.
In that case, you'll be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment.
No, never, non-negotiable. can't bring your own copies here. It proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you're arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Man, he's digit-posing them all day. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in his room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' Great Deduction. Conclusion: Soseki Natsume at the scene. So, deduction complete. Elementary.
Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again.
Well then, Mr. Natsume, it would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again.
But wait. Hold your horses.
Yes?
Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible.
He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy.
What? What?
You live in the same building after all. You'd have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure.
Misery me!
Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
Ah, you horrible Herlock Sholmes!
He really found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage wind.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me, please, please. I'm innocent.
Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it.
And one more thing.
Oh, yes?
My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me.
Oh yeah, how has that cat been... taken care of? Because he's been gone for like 3 days. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. So Seki-san found himself once again a prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective.
My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you.
Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now.
Yes, that's right. And of course...
What?
Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gerdib, who discovered
Mr. Shakespeare. Ah, Mr. John Garrett, yes.
I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual.
Right. We must remember to go and talk to him later. Later then.
What's this?
It looks like part of an envelope, I think.
Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened.
Is that significant?
Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When we look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there?
Ah, she's right.
And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual.
I agree. We better take this, just in case. The torn off end of an envelope has been entered into the court record. A ripped piece of an envelope that was found in Mr. Shakespeare's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located.
There's not much on these shelves, is there? Just his wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yes, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste, and I should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it the next time we meet. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room, with its grim, shady going-ons.
This one looks like a king's attire.
A king? I've always dreamt of being a king.
Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord, a daimyo, or such like.
With a chonmage topknot? Every Japanese man wishes he had chonmage.
Oh, you look wonderful with one, and you already have the sword.
Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword?
Oh, the poor man. So young to die. Do you suppose it was very painful death, being poisoned as he was?
I don't know. All we do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry?
Let me sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine in that book, isn't there?
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shakespeare and his guests drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruto. There's bitter poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any. Don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty.
That's true, so one was Mr. Shakespeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsumi was drinking from.
But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. The pair of teacups has been entered into the court record. The teacups used by Mr. Shakespeare and Mr. Natsume. The one with the green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume's. And And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Ah, I see. Now that you've pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot here, just here, that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean, if you put a coin in here...
That's right. That will buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes, or if you're a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness no mirror in our office. Man. Wow. What an existence that is. I know in Africa, some parts of Africa, they actually have to prepay for their electricity. So I'm not surprised like this. Yeah. Excuse me.
As you see from the outside, the window is completely cooked up. A visage of the former window tax that Britons had to pay.
What a strange thing to use to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property is extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh,
What is it, Miss Susato?
if you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose.
More soap! Why? Oh yes. It looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shakespeare who did it? I wonder. Being the lodger renting this room?
Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it.
What? Outside?
Well, it's so cold outside. You can feel it through the gap.
It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it? What is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps?
It's more bars of soap.
Soap? Why are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window?
I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that.
Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all.
Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Here, look at the soap.
Ah,
Do you see, in the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but...
some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain.
It looks like the Maru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand.
Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackled old room? The bar of soap has been entered into court record. A cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside Mr. Shakespeare's window. It's one of two that were found there. Looks like you're having a good snoop around there. Inspector Grayson, back so soon? After After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigations division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be going off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low, being back in the cells again so soon.
I'm sure. What the? We should probably go and,
What's wrong, Mr. Naruto? Ka!
Out! Out! Brief candle. Life's but a walking channel. A poor player. The struts and thrusts of his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, oh, thunders the next part.
it's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Indeed. Oh, happy day.
Whoa. Walking Dead! Did no one check his pulse? Do they know about the pulse? The fella isn't dead at all? What was that nonsense he was saying, though?
I think... Yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5.
Shakespeare. Wow, weird coincidence. Their names are so similar. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life. As the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by a emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime. Whatever that was now. Whatever that now was. Well, that's suspicious. 21st February, Briar Road. Let's check out the soap.
This part is different. It's a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it?
Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special.
I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is a rather expensive soap.
That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. There's probably something inside.
What do you think would happen now?
Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder. But then the victim comes back to life.
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamsphere did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to any more than a night in the cell. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings.
Something wrong, Miss Naruto?
Excuse me, could we have a word? Ah! Like a bumblebee. He just ran off.
I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
I do too, but I don't remember. With the exception of the top floor, where Mr. and Mrs. Garrett live, all the windows are bricked up.
Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less tax, the poor members of society filled in many of the windows.
But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could all be open again, surely.
Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done.
Yes, that is a sad state of affairs.
Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room.
I suppose that's the price you pay for living in a very cheap accommodation.
It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that.
Do the Gyarados! February, the Gyarados room. Here we are again. The eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. Oh god. Got my toe stuck in.
We're here because Mr. Gyarados, the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget.
Ah, you Chopsa. Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Gyarados as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the bailey yesterday. Oh, right, his wife's arrested. After that. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning.
I wonder, if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Gyarados.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? You can stay seated, sir. This morning's incident. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Miss Naruto. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden?
Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
Mr. Shamsphere. The victim's name is Mr. Shamsphere, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shakespeare. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it, the only remaining feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a body screwed loose. So hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into.
Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know? Romeo and Hamlet and all that.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japan, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated.
It seemed incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have had much in common.
Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that.
Mr. Naruhodo, really? How rude.
Yesterday's events. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Gyardet noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shakespeare got back, and the chap was up until past 1 in the morning. I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Actually, was very helpful. Is everything alright, Miss Susato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gyardet, you're up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of the stairs, not of this blasted leg.
Then, how is it you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenants on the ground floor, I mean.
That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? Oh, I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bloody outrage. I'm ex-military, you know. I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then how did you know, Mr. Gyardet?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything. The gas? Speaking gas? What on earth do you mean, sir?
How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I'd more or less worked that out.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly. But at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it?
Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe.
Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Got a good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposites also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here, they go and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So, by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out the lamps and fires.
Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garrett. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it, really. And I can't really see that it's going... Yeah. And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case, either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Gyarados is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
Good idea. A good idea.
Alright, I'm going to call it a night there. I feel like we're at a pretty good part here. So, we have a case of a murder that didn't involve a murder, again. So, Mr. Natsume is like incredibly lucky and like incredibly cursed at the same time. But we'll figure out what's going on next time. Hopefully. Well, probably for another like 5 episodes. We'll find out what's going on Friday, probably, how long it takes me to finish the case. Until then, thank you everyone who joined me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye! I mean, next Thursday. I don't play on Friday.